Hey guys, it's your girl ZJ here. So I wanted to give you guys a kind of an update, just overall update. Yeah, sorry about that. So I wanted to make this video about just general update, but mostly how I am doing as far as college. I don't think I've ever posted anything about this, but this is just to let you know that I have been struggling in getting my degree in computer science. Personally, I'd like to get a PhD in computer science. Whether that or not that's going to yield me more money in the long run, I don't know. I don't really care. I want a PhD, and I mean, I have this thing where I just want to be, I want to know everything, and I know I can't really possibly just know everything, but I want to be able to be called upon to provide a solution. I like solving problems, and complex problems, simple problems. I like having the answers. I like people who are factoids because I get to leech off of them, and well, we don't have to really get into my background story, but that's basically it. So yeah, so unfortunately, a lot of my ideas as far as, you know, passion projects, because I met with a software developer a few weeks ago who suggested I do some projects on the side other than, you know, fun things like video game walkthroughs and stuff, but suggested I don't have to wait till I get a degree to do what I always want to do, and I have a lot of ideas, and it has to do with computer engineering. And every time I said, oh, this would be awesome, I want to make this, I want to do this, I want to create this. I'm very creative on top of that, so I just want to fuse technology with a lot of things that I like, right? And the more ideas I came up with, it had little to do with computer science. Of course, you know, the principles of it had a lot to do with it, but it had more directly involved computer engineering. And the reason why I didn't want to go into computer engineering, I always had a fear that I would possibly somehow cause or start a fire or electrical fire, and not having the ability to control a natural disaster, or you know, not a supernatural, but you know, like a electrical fire versus natural fire. I haven't been in a fire, but there was a fire in one of my apartments. You know, but that's not why. It was just everywhere I lived, in every apartment I lived, there was a fire, believe it or not. And not having the control over it, and of course, yeah, a fire extinguisher would help, and static electricity thingamajigs. I know that I sounded like totally country right there, but I mean, you know, like the wristbands, whatever I could use, it doesn't really ease my fears, and I don't want to work with electricity, you know. I can light a match, but I don't want to work with, I'm just terrified for some reason, and I didn't want to do what I call poopy work. And poopy work to me is getting on my hands and knees, sweating, you know, exposing, you know, my butt crack, or, I know that sounds gross, but you know, I'm a lady, and you know, I don't mind getting, you know, my hands dirty, but I don't feel very comfortable working in that sort of environment as a career with other 99% men, and sweating and doing stuff like that. And I think maybe I had a really warped or messed up perception of of what computer engineering was like. I mean, it's certainly not going to be, I don't have to go, go up, climb up telephone poles or do things like that. But my ideas for what I want to make, it could be small scale. It might not even have to be, small scale. It could be big, but not so, pig sweating type labor. It could just be, and it might be that, but at least it'll be mine. At least it'll be my idea. I can sweat and do all that. I know I keep talking about sweat. I just keep talking because I don't want to, be like building someone else's stuff. If I have to do that, it has to be my stuff. I want to make my projects, my ideas, my products. Yeah, projects, making sure I didn't say the same thing twice. But that's not the only reason I steered away. I'm a little shy of math, and I found out when I took college math that it was not very scary. It's just how you're taught, and of course some people have a different way of learning. Like, I'm extremely vivid. I have a very good imagination. That doesn't sound right, but I mean, I'm a very visual person. Anything I want to make or design, or anything that comes to mind, I can draw it. I'm not like the artist, but I have no problem drawing exactly what I visualize and getting people to understand what I'm talking about. And so when you learn math for the first time and you use a little ruler thing, and if you want to go count whole numbers or integers or whatever, and use the little ruler, you could count left or right and say, okay, I'm trying to say, like, +5, -3, you count to the left, and you left +2, whatever. And it's a visual thing, right? And so what I'm trying to say is, at some point in college math, I stopped comprehending, and not because I don't understand what the professor is saying, but it's because I don't comprehend why. I ask a lot of why questions. Sometimes I try to solve a problem and I approach it the wrong way, and the professor didn't explain why I thought that would be, the next step. I would think I'm not stupid, so, this made sense to me. Otherwise, I would write, I'm just guessing. When I'm not sure about something and I have no idea, I write question marks on my homework. But when I feel like I'm on the right track, I expect an explanation. Like, well, why did I do this then? I mean, obviously, I thought I knew what I was doing. So either you failed to teach me the proper way, or I failed to understand, the system or the formula or the equation or whatever, and I need you to explain to me why my thought pattern went this way. What am I missing? And when some professors can understand why you're doing it, some people don't. They just say, I don't know, you don't do it, you just don't do it. Why not? Well, you just don't do it. So I'm like, okay. And I don't take things like that very well. I don't like being told to do something, and a lot of professors and teachers just tell you to do certain things in math because that's just what the previous mathematician said to do, and we do it. I'm a why person. Why? Prove it to me. Use a real life example that I can see and visualize. So, getting to the point, I decided that, okay, well, whatever, I'm just going to have to do what the freaking teacher tells me to do, and I don't have to understand all of it. I just want to do this so I can pass my class and move on to the next class so I can freaking get my degree and whatever, right? But my boyfriend, who happens to be extremely gifted in math, he was watching the show called Big Bang Theory, and I started watching, and I was like, oh my gosh, this show is like for me. I was like, hey, this is meant for me, because I felt just like these people, except I'm not a guy, but I felt so home, you know, like, oh my gosh, you know. So anyway, Sheldon Cooper, I felt like was a brother from another mother. It isn't because he's a super genius, it's because, or his character, but it's because he just had so many quirks and annoyances that I could relate to. I won't list them all, but man, you know, I thought I was just antisocial, and it could be the root problem, but you know, I really just think it's just something with me, and other people who are like Sheldon Cooper just have these things like sharing food. I just cannot do it. If you have to take a bite of my sandwich, that sandwich is yours, and it has nothing to do with you. It just has to do with germs. It has to do with visualizing these things, and I know that my clothes could have stuff on them right now that might be, you know, and I can't see them, but you know, I can't explain it. So anyways, I was like, why do I take such an interest in physics and science and Mythbusters and stuff, but I have a hard time with math? Why is it that I understand a lot of what people are saying when it comes to physics and science, things like that, but I have a hard time understanding math? To a certain level, I have a hard time comprehending the reasons why of math. Not adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, not fractions. I don't have a problem with that. Excuse me. But I do sometimes need context. I need a visual. You know, with fractions, I don't have a hard time because I can visualize, you know, a whole, or I can visualize complex fractions. I can visualize improper fractions. Actually, complex fractions, I can't visualize that. But anyway. So I decided, well, maybe let's see why I like physics. So I went to this site called physicsclassroom.com and started, you know, kind of educating myself on basic physics, starting with one-dimensional kinematics. And as soon as I got into, you know, velocity and scalar and acceleration and oh my gosh, you don't understand how much more sense the graphs on exponential growth and decay made sense. Looking at a model of a car on a constant acceleration or a constant velocity, or just, it doesn't matter what the data shows, math makes so much more sense. It makes so much more sense when I understand what we're actually doing with the math. You know, I can't just see numbers and just, here's the problem. Sometimes I need to know why am I even freaking trying to solve this problem? Why do I even need to do this? You know, it's one thing when you do it when you have to count money and stuff like that, and okay, yeah, that makes sense, duh. But sometimes it's like, okay, let's talk about quadratic formula and system of equations and, you know, complex fractions. I'm like, okay, can you give me an example of why the heck do we have to do this freaking poopy work? And why can't we make this simpler for ourselves? How come there's no easier way to do complex fractions? I cannot stand complex fractions, not because it's hard. It's extremely simple. The process is annoying and messy and sometimes hard, because if you're visual like me, you could kind of like make yourself dizzy because you can't visualize. I don't care what anyone says, visualizing complex fractions is not fun. I mean, you really have to just make sure you were on your P's and Q's and you know, your things add up. Can't visualize at all. And maybe it's because I have nothing to work with. If someone told me, hey, you need to find, I don't know, the dimensions of this, or you need to figure out how to make this work to fit these two AA batteries inside a device that has to be, you know, under these parameters, and you have to make sure, you know, you need to find out at what melting point is these many LEDs in a case of whatever, acrylic or something like, then it's kind of like, okay, this makes sense to me. So physicsclassroom.com, for people like me, maybe you guys are the same, where math is, it's hard to understand sometimes, because you feel like you're missing something, or you feel like you just want to know why. I'm not speaking to people who have a hard time, adding or something, or have a hard time doing it. And it might actually help people to go and find other ways of learning math, and find out what draws you to the field that you're in that requires math, since math is pretty much required everywhere. But for me, it's computer science, physics, sciences in general. I don't really care for humanities, liberal arts, or anything like that. But science. If I love science, I gotta have math, and I have to understand, why do these two things connect? How do they connect? It sounds crazy, but some people learn better when they start on a higher level than basic. I don't understand why. I don't. I'm not a genius. I have a good, relatively good IQ. I'm smart, but but some things I don't understand without something else, I don't know. So post your comments and tell me if you've ever felt the same way. I've read lots of forums about it, about being able to have a concept idea or a visual before you can really understand the just shut up and calculate, So I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that's about it, you guys. That is my update. For all those who are wondering about my weight, in the long run, from, the initial time of, I don't know, May of 2010 to now, or as of 2 days ago, my weight only went down 10 pounds. So it's fluctuated within, but displacement is only about 10 pounds. So I don't know if that's good. It's good, but it's not really the weight, because even though I'm considered clinically obese, my what do you call it? My heart rate has gone from 110 to 84. Of course, my weight's gone down a little bit. My blood pressure, I don't require any blood pressure medication at all. Last year, I needed it. It was highly recommended. They put me on higher. I don't need any blood pressure medication. And my blood work's still coming in, but last year, my blood work was just fine. It was normal. So, I mean, I'm considered a healthy, overweight person, though if I were to get into my ideal weight, I'd be like green. I'd be golden, green, golden, whatever. But, I think I can't compare myself to last year. I mean, I still see an overweight person. But the good thing is that I don't have to struggle to eat right. It's all about what you put in yourself. If you put good things inside your mouth, I shouldn't say that. If you eat good things, your tests will produce good data. I mean, short and simple. There are skinny people who are very, very unhealthy, high cholesterol, diabetes, type 2, I mean, there's people who just think it's all about weight, and it's not. But I desperately want to get down to my ideal weight. It's not a superficial thing. It's not a cosmetic thing. It's just about being as close to living past 60 as possible. My aunt recently died of diabetes on July 22nd, and she actually was fortunate enough to know that she didn't have very much long. She got things in order, and and we shared a lot of moments together, and it was a bittersweet ending, but, you know, again, she was only 60 years old, and I'm 29. I'm going to be 30 soon, and I don't feel comfortable putting a number on, you know, like, okay, 30 years from now, I could be dead or I could be just like her, you know. And she, mind you, she spent about, you know, 7 years in and out of the hospital. She spent about 2 years on dialysis, or maybe a year on dialysis, and I've seen her under dialysis. It's painful. She was in so much pain. They had medication for her, but it just looks so horrible. I don't want to go there. So, anyways, just checking in with you guys, and keep a lookout. I will be posting my new blog on my new site I'm creating. I can't tell you the domain name yet because there's a couple other domain names I'm going to alias to my main domain name yet, and I don't want people out there registering it and I lose out. So, yep, but basically it's going to be cute, cool, girly things that lets nerd girls be nerds while still being girls, you know. So think LEDs and girly things, whatever. So that's about it. I will see you guys next time. I hope you guys have a very safe weekend. I don't know when I'm going to be updating the videos again, but it will be soon. Alright, bye.